Are we live? I have no idea if this is working. Are we live? Are we live? Oh my God, that looks crazy. Okay, I think we're live, and yeah, it says we're live. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, Hans Johnson here, everybody. I hope you all are having a great day and that you've had a good week. And I am still farting around with this streaming. All right. Well, Hans Johnson here, everybody. I hope you all are having a great day. And let me get that off. Okay. Still messing around with this. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Good to see you guys. Appreciate you. Still trying to get this streaming stuff all connected and whatnot. You guys get to be like live guinea pigs for me basically while I'm doing these. This stream is being broadcast live on my Facebook page, Hans Johnson at Hans Johnson Live, and it's open to the public. So if you guys want to invite anybody for that, then feel free. Just give me a moment here while I'm still kind of fooling around here, trying to get this thing kind of figured out. No, that's not it. Okay. All right. So we'll just, okay. Anyway, guys, hey, look, crazy market week this week. Wow. Just insane. So I've been doing a lot of these Friday Q&As, these live Q&As on the markets and whatnot ever since the bear market started. And I'm assuming most of you have seen my, I hope I'm not screwing this up, the original video that I did on, I think it was March 4th now. And I kind of laid out a case for why, if you take the policies that the new Trump admin, the rhetoric and the policies, I laid out a case basically for how I can't see that here in 2025, we have to go into a bear market because arguably, and there's experts on all sides of the, tons of opinions out there right now, but it's pretty acknowledged that the economic numbers were massively inflated and pushed up through unprecedented government spending and government hiring during the last administration, and that one might argue that at least Main Street has been in a recession for a while now. And so I basically made a case that I just couldn't see how, if you take all of the combination of the policies, and yes, there's some pro-growth policies, tax cuts, deregulation, cutting the size of the federal government or, spending through Doge, which I have my doubts about that, frankly, but it's exciting. It's great to hear that they're getting some cuts and they're finding all these fraud and abuse and waste. I will, I'm sort of in the camp at this point where, I'm a little bit already getting tired of the marketing part of it. And because if there's actually really fraud, then there should be people that are being prosecuted. So I'm not sure what to say about that, but it is encouraging to see that audits are being done and that maybe there'll be some answers to where all the money went. For those of you that have been following me for a long time, you can get more information about us at TWFSystems.com. My book is available on Amazon, best-selling book, True Wealth Formula. How to master money, live free, and build a legacy. It's a 5-star rated review book on Amazon. It's the only place you can get it. Basically helps show you how to manage your own money and how to manage money the way that wealthy do, how to build your balance sheet and build your asset structure, and how to invest successfully, how to eliminate debt, the whole deal, right? So basically balance sheet restructuring, that's a fancy word. That's what corporate CEOs and Fortune 500 CFOs are familiar with. But we show you how to do that at a personal finance level and how to essentially get your balance sheet set up, which is just what you own, right? Most people have cars, a house maybe, this and that on their balance sheet. But if you get the right kind of assets on your balance sheet, then you can basically get your money working for you instead of you working for your money. So that's really what we focus on and help people to do that and break it down super simple and make it easy so that even a 5-year-old, if you've got kids that are doing chores and get salaries. Yeah, if you have a business, you want to pay your kid a salary. It's a good tax write-off. But if your kids are doing chores and stuff like that, and maybe they have an allowance or something, your 5 or 10 or 15-year-old kid could follow this system and really kind of set themselves up for life, right? Inside of 10, 15, 20 years, be financially independent. Imagine being 30 years old and being financially independent and being able to spend the rest of your life focusing on value, focusing on contribution, focusing on, really just making the greatest contribution and impact that you can to this world instead of being a slave to this globalist system that has essentially told everybody that this is the only path and, capitalism is great and real capitalism is great. But what we've had for many, many years is not real capitalism. It's crony capitalism. It's, corporate, it's state and corporate powers. It's corporate welfare. It's been the death and destruction of the middle class. And it's just been really destructive policies. And you get a lot of experts on all the social channels and on the TV channels and everything, talking about, there a lot of stuff. So I've been kind of talking about this every single week, doing updates. And I just encourage those of you who still haven't watched the March 4th, it is pinned on my Facebook page, video. It kind of breaks down my thesis for 2025 and why I think, and this again was now over a month ago, it was 5 weeks ago. And I said, we're going to have a bear market this year. And sure enough, this is what's happened since that video. So, I'm not a big fan of making predictions. There's a lot of people, marketers, that make financial predictions all day long, and their whole business model is basically made off of predictions. True Wealth Formula, we don't really focus on that. We could, but our priority and our focus is helping you learn how to do your own fishing instead of giving you a fish. And if you've been around for a while, and if you pay attention, you'll realize that the people that make the most predictions all the time, they're making so many predictions that you can't really keep track of it. It takes a lot of effort to keep track of it. And so it's really easy to come around and to remarket your predictions that were right and not worry about all the ones that were wrong. The old saying is that even a broken clock is right twice a day. And so that's a business model, that's marketing. That's really not what we do here. Again, we're really kind of focused on education and helping our subscribers, learn and execute a proven system that is evergreen, that is the wealth system since the beginning of time. A lot of research. Trends are great. You can jump on trends, you can jump on stuff and ride trends, you can trade. But if you really want to build a solid financial house, you need to do that on solid principles. And so here we are. Markets have been, basically shell-shocked by Trump actually doing what he said he was going to do. Put tariffs, and he ran on that policy. He said it thousands of times during his campaigns and whatnot. And I got to remember to stand back farther from the screen because I think one of these other ones is just like totally screwed up. So he did, and people are like, I can't believe he's doing it. Well, yeah. So Anyway, there's a lot going on. I would like to do more Q&A today, frankly, but we can review the markets here. And, this week, the markets, and you guys, I could just go on for hours about kind of what's going on and stuff like that. We have subscribers that get access to our True Wealth Formula implementation program. So it's basically how to implement these concepts that are in the book. You get access to our software, Wealth Builder, which is insane. It does predictive financial analytics. You put your numbers in, it'll literally tell you what your financial future is. And then using this system, it will show you how to change that future. We have a system called Automatic Paychecks, which you can get started for just ridiculous, like $5, $10, $20, and start getting your money working for you instead of you working for your money, which is the key to wealth. So, markets this week, we're in a crash zone. We are definitely in a bear market, guys. And the media will tell you that a bear market is defined as a 20% correction. Okay, I'm going to tell you that definition. Now that's the technical definition, but that's a terrible definition, because by the time you get to a 20%, it's half the damage is already done. So it's kind of like they're telling you, hey, all the horses got out of the barn and they're gone. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for telling me what I freaking already see and know. So the world is just kind of woken up to these idiot media and expert people who are basically gatekeepers and corporate salespeople, basically, is what they are, to one extent or the other. And many people in the world want to be more self-educated and understand these concepts and these principles and these markets. And so that's kind of what I've been doing here on Fridays, is to sort of kind of pop in and do these Q&As. We do have a bunch of people joining us, so that's great. If you guys can, like always, just spread the word and whatnot, share this, that would be good. So here's where the markets are. And this is the S&P 500. These are the futures right here. The market's just closed a bit ago. But this is the, one of the things we do with our subscribers is we teach them how to identify chart crimes, okay? And there's a lot of different things, but 90% of what you guys see, you see an ad, you see people posting things on social medias and stuff like that. There's so much chart crimes. You can create any story you want to tell on a chart, okay? Depending on how you stretch it, how you show it, all kinds of things. But the worst chart crime is when you don't know what the hell you're looking at. So typically on all charts, and this is TradingView, you're going to see a ticker up on the top left. Okay, so in this case, this is the S&P 500 futures, okay? And we're on a daily chart right here, so that's the time frame. And this is basically, these are candles with some moving averages and some volume here on the bottom, with a volume profile up here on the top. So this is kind of what's happened. And what I mentioned, and I mentioned this last week and in the several updates that I've done since that time, is I said, the bare minimum, and it's so crazy, guys. I mean, even for me, I've been like, wow, this is just wild. I way back, and you could go back to the other videos, and I said, the way I'm seeing this is that, and this is once we broke below the 200-day, which is this red line here, is the 200-day moving average. There's an old saying that says nothing good happens under the 200-day moving average. So the conventional definition for a bear market is a 20% correction. Another definition is if it's below the 200-day moving average, that's the long-term average. And I actually have some other opinions on like what would be a better one. And some of our, particularly our pro members, our monthly group coaching members, we've been chatting about this and sort of kind of flushing out some of these, ideas and concepts more. But just to sort of continue here, I'm just checking this other feed because it just looks terrible. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just keep going here. So this is the market, and since the high. And one of the things that I said last Friday, on my broadcast last Friday, where were we on Friday? Well, we were right here, this red, okay? And you can't really see it as well, because of the volume profile here. Let me hide the volume below. Okay, kind of cleans it up a little bit. So last Friday when I last did this, this is this candle right here. Okay, but even before that, particularly with our subscribers and whatnot, I told them, I said, look, guys, minimum this thing is gonna retest the 2021 highs. Okay, which was actually like January 4th, 2022. But it was basically the 2021 market highs before we went into this 2022 bear market here, right? This is when all the interest rates started getting raised, after a whole year straight of the Federal Reserve telling you it was transitory, right? By the way, Federal Reserve, they are late and wrong all the time, okay? So, this is a problem, and they're really late right now with what's going on right now. They hate Trump, and Trump is he's come from a different mold and a different type of vision for what needs to happen. And the thing about it is that the stuff that's going on right now, the tariffs, the renegotiating of the global trade order, the global world order, which is trade, guys. It's a lot of things, but at the very heart of it. It's all about trade. It's all about commerce. It's all about protecting, oceanic passages and transportation and being able to get goods and stuff like that. I mean, just study history, guys. Come on. And so, post World War II, the United States, Bretton Woods Agreement and whatnot, became the dominant superpower. With the reserves currency, the U.S. dollar, and basically took on the role of ensuring and as the guarantor of global commerce via the U.S. Navy. Okay, all wars, guys, are commercial wars. They have nothing to do with deposing some bad dictator or helping some poor people. All the stuff you're told in the media, all the things that you've believed your entire life is a lie. Okay, the wars that we get into have absolutely nothing to do with what they say it is. Okay, it's not. And all you have to do is just look at the invasion that's happened in our country. With just unprecedented, unfiltered, basically unscreened, immigration has just been out of control. Okay, that's an invasion, right? And that has nothing to do with what color your skin is or anything like that. Our country here in the United States was built on immigrants. But if you're coming into a country, it's very different to come into a country for opportunity, for the, I'm not saying that everybody that comes here doesn't come for that, but I am telling you for a fact that if you're offering social benefits, if you're getting signed up for Social Security payments when you've never worked into the system, you're getting free housing, you're getting all this, free cell phones and all this kind of thing, that's a very different picture, right? Somebody's paying for that. Okay, so here's the system that was built, this post-World War II system, globalism, which has essentially lifted, it's true that that capitalism, okay, has lifted millions and millions and maybe arguably billions of people out of poverty, okay, at the cost, and it has also made the elites very, very rich. Last Friday, I showed you guys some charts. And inequality is a real thing, right? The middle class has gotten just crushed for decades now. So the elites have gotten very, very wealthy. But the taxpayers of the West have been crushed. They've been hurt, okay? So this stuff gets really complicated and really kind of crazy. But all that to say is that you may love or you might hate Trump, but Trump is just if it wasn't Trump, it was going to be somebody else. Okay, let me just tell you this. All right, we manifest the reality, we the people, right? That reality, what's going on today was going to happen. It just so happens that Trump's the guy that comes in and he's willing to negotiate and do and shake the apple cart up in order to have a reset. Right. And you were all, the World Economic Forum and all of these globalist organizations promoted a great reset during the COVID, the 2020. I did many videos during that time talking about it. You remember the famous, ad they put out that said, you will, by 2030, you will own nothing, but you'll be happy. I mean, that's the globalist vision for your life, right? Is that you're going to live in an 8x8 little housing pod. You're going to be strapped into digital reality 24/7. You're going to be infertile. You will not have kids. And you will just be a slave to the system, but you'll be happy because why? Because you're jacked into some matrix-based system that is an artificial synthetic reality, right? That has all these, like synthetic pleasures and everything, but you're not grounded to the earth. Okay. You're not grounded to your ancestors. You don't have family. You don't have the things that, you don't have really you don't own anything. Okay. So anyway, so there's a fight going on right now. And this is long overdue, right? You're not going to get rid of the elites. You're not going to get rid of globalists. You're not going to, you're not going to get rid of these multinational corporations that are corrupt as it gets and buying off politicians and all of that sort of thing. But what you need is some balance. And the system's been out of balance for a really long time. So for weeks now, I've been saying, and definitely last Friday, you can watch that video. I said, look, we're going to, the way I see this is that we're going to basically go down and this is the minimum floor, right? This top from 2021 before this 2022 bear market. We're going to, at the minimum, we're going to hit that, right? And it's sure enough, like that was on Friday and literally, and I said it on Friday, I said, it's definitely going to happen next week. And it could happen in the middle of the night, and that's exactly what happened is it hit it, literally tagged it. Okay. And my line could be, these are zones, right? When you have support and resistance and supply and demand and things like that, levels, it's not just a number, it's really a zone. But literally, like you could look at this here and, even when I saw that, I was just like, you gotta be kidding, right? Just crazy. So we hit that and then we bounced. And then the next day, not so great. And then Wednesday of this week, just 2 days ago, was the famous, the craziest rally historical that we've ever had. Like the S&P 500 was 9.5%, the NASDAQ was 12%. And it all started with Trump posting saying, today's a good day to buy, well, of course, he and there was insane insider trading on Wednesday, guys, like just ridiculous, right? So, some people knew what was going to happen that afternoon. And what happened this afternoon here? Well, they said, hey, we're going to suspend the tariffs on all of these other countries because they had this chart the week before things fell off the cliff. Market had already gone into a correction and then it fell off the cliff the week before. They had these charts saying all these tariffs that all these different countries are going to be hit with. And then on Wednesday, 2 days ago, he said, hey, we're going to put a 90-day hold on that. We're going to just do a base 10% on everybody except China. We're going to increase it, we're going to increase China's to whatever, right? So then China came back and said, oh, well, we're going to put one on you. And then the next day he increased it even more. So this is guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is World War III. Okay? All world wars, and I told you guys this back in 2020. For those of you that have been around since then and been paying attention, I told you flat out what's going to happen this decade. And if you study history and you understand historical patterns and human nature and the way these things, play out, every world war has basically started in a similar way to like what's going on right now. So we're in it right now. It's already here, and hopefully it doesn't go hot. I told you guys back in 2020 to stack tier 1 capital, to focus on building your tier 2 asset base. Tier 1 capital is your liquidity, right? To cut overhead and expenses, right? Build your tier 2, which is your cash flow assets, right? So that's what our subscribers have been doing, and they're just killing it and doing awesome. But, this is where we're at right now. And so, a lot going on, really just a ton. And I don't want to get into the weeds on all the stuff. Why China? I mean, maybe you're paying attention to that. It's really not about the Chinese people. It's more about the government and, the fact that they still have developing nation status with the World Trade Organization. That's comical. And it's not fair, right? So a lot of people are freaking out right now, and the currency manipulation and the IP theft and all the other stuff that goes on. A lot of people right now are freaking out about the tariffs, saying, hey, it's going to drive costs up. It's, this and that and everything. And, in some things it will, but when you hear that and you hear these experts talk about inflation because of tariffs, actually, we've already seen inflation this week. We had CPI reports this morning and PPI or whatever, and it's all down right now, right? So oil's down. Inflation right now is down. So will things cost more? Yeah, but in theory, what tariffs are is an optional tax, okay? Now, practically speaking, because I can only speak, I've traveled to over 40 countries, so I'm quite familiar with other countries and cultures, and every country has some wonderful, wonderful things about it, and every country has some really messed up stuff about it, okay? But here in the U.S., we don't manufacture much anymore. We manufacture technology and weapons and energy and some major things, but a lot of the consumables and electronics and gadgets and things like that we don't manufacture. So in a balanced system, if you had tariffs, in economics there's this thing called elasticity, okay, which means and that's how they do the inflation reports. They say, well, beef is expensive right now. Cost of steak is double. Well, they don't count that as inflation because they say, well, people are just going to buy chicken instead. So if the cost of steak of beef goes 2x, it doesn't drive inflation up. Okay, because why? Elasticity. So you have the same thing in this tariff situation. It doesn't exactly guarantee that there's going to be inflation. Okay. Because in a balanced system, you would be able to choose. So what it does is it incentivizes domestic consumption versus foreign. It's designed to help kind of restructure some of the flows of capital and trade and this sort of thing. So here's where the markets are right now, and I will say this, that they've since this bottom, and it was double tested here. You can see it twice, 2 times. And this was the big, crazy, bear market rally day, like insane, face ripper, right? Bear markets have the most insane rallies, okay? And it's been kind of building a base. You have higher, you have lower lows, okay? Or sorry, higher lows, right? So, here you had a higher low on this candle, and then it went down, but then since here, so this is constructive, meaning positive, right? Like the market's trying to stabilize. And if anything, you might expect, we haven't even retested this 20-day moving average right here, this blue line. And certainly now we got the what's called the death cross right here as of today. You have the 50-day moving average, the green line, crossing down below the 200-day, the red line, the 200-day moving average. So, we have some monster overhead resistance, guys. Look at the VIX, okay? I'll just show you what the VIX is looking at. The VIX is not satisfied at all. We closed, today it came down, 37.55, wonderful. That is not low, okay? This is not, the VIX is your fear index, it's actually a ratio, not an index. The VIX is basically still signaling that there is a lot of problems. Okay. So that's something to be paying attention to, right? The VIX is essentially telling you, because if you have elevated VIX like this, okay, and in a normal market, like a bull market, you're going to have VIX running from, on average, between 13 and 20. Okay? In a bear market, your floor on the VIX is going to be about 20, give or take, right? During most of the 2022 bear market, the VIX was running between 20 and 30, and occasionally it popped up to 35. If you have the VIX over 40, or in these ranges that we've had, like it was 60, like yesterday, it popped all the way up to 55, and the days before it was tapping 60, right? Today, it ran up to 46, closed at 37. That is stress. Okay, what that means is there's a lot of hedging still going on in the system. Okay, people are not taking their hedges off, right? So that's so the VIX, so we're not anywhere out of the woods, right? Just because you got this nice little tweet from Trump to basically say, hey, now's a good time to buy, it doesn't mean that the bottom is in, like totally in, okay? And if you have this kind of range where you have these massive swing days like this, it's still very, very volatile, okay? All right, so that's what's going on with the S&P 500. NASDAQ or the QQQ is going to look exactly the same. Other stuff that's happening right now, we just covered the VIX, right? So we looked at the VIX. VIX is still super elevated. Super elevated, okay? Bitcoin has been building it crashed as well on Monday, okay, but it's been building strength. That's a good sign. That's nice. But Bitcoin is not looking too great. Like the chart on Bitcoin, honestly, it's a little, it doesn't look that great, okay? But hard to tell, okay? I know there's a lot of people that really love Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. It's not what everybody thinks and says it is, but it is a lot of amazing things. And, time will tell, okay? But Bitcoin, when you have a big sell-off, so right now the market's taking a breather. That's what's going on, okay? Market is it's taking a breather because it stopped falling for a little bit, okay? And but these hedges are still on through the weekend because of what's called weekend headline risk, right? All it takes is one tweet from Trump or some news headline to basically cause this thing to start unraveling again, okay? But this isn't over, okay? This is going to be going on for a while, guys, probably a really long time, right? So the market took a breather, and so did Bitcoin. Gold sold off as well last week, tariff announcement, and bottomed out, and then massive rebound rally right now. Gold is signaling some deep trouble, some issues. Okay. If you think VIX is the fear gauge, the real fear gauge is gold. Okay. So what is this gold signaling? Well, we have some problems with the 10-year yield. And, it was going on the right track because the last administration, Treasury Department, Janet Yellen, they refinanced a crap ton of U.S. debt at short-term maturity when the rates were like 1.5%, 2%. They should have been doing long-term refi. But they did it at short-term, and that's due this year, and rolling that over at 4.5%, 5% is not good. So the Treasury, Scott Bessent, has made, and if you're into this kind of stuff, you need to be really kind of following him and paying attention to what the kind of stuff he says. That guy knows what he's doing. The guy's got a serious gnarly track record. Okay, but they got to get these rates down. Okay, the best way to get the rates down is to crash the markets. Okay, so As you notice, the rates came down, but then now they're moving back up. And there's all kinds of different theories on that. Okay. So this is some structural problems, right? TLT, which could be long-term stuff, it's in the gutter. So this gets into the weeds about how do treasuries and bonds move in, the relationship between the way they move and their yield. Okay. So this kind of stuff isn't good. The dollar has been weak, is weakness. So all of this to say is that there's a lot going on in the world right now, guys. And none of this is showing that this is going to end soon, right? Now that doesn't mean you couldn't have the markets like just having crazy rallies, okay? But this is far from being resolved. Okay. Bitcoin, gold definitely showing strength. The next time this market goes and sells off to retest this, you're going to see Bitcoin and gold, you're going to see them dump. Okay. And probably Bitcoin more than gold right now. Bitcoin is still a very speculative asset on the world stage. Gold is not a speculative asset. Gold is a tier 1 capital asset in central banks all over the world. Bitcoin is a speculative asset. And there's nothing wrong with that. Gold will sell off during a liquidity squeeze as well. Because when you have margin calls, and I'm not talking about you and me, if you have a margin call, you have to deposit cash. If you're a hedge fund, or you're BlackRock, or these other institutions, and you get a margin call, they got to sell liquid, tier 1 liquidity assets to cover that margin call. So Bitcoin, gold, Bitcoin is going to get sold off, okay? The next time, I don't like to make predictions. So, any dumbass can make a prediction. I usually don't like to make predictions, but sometimes I will. So it's great. It's good to see the strength, but that's because the market is stabilized, okay? If you doubt what I'm saying here and you think, well, Bitcoin's going to be the new gold. Well, it could be. Anything's possible. Okay. But why do I say it will sell off? Simple. Just, look at the last time. Here is COVID right here. This is the monthly chart. I'll go to the weekly. We don't need to be on monthly. We do this on a weekly. So here's COVID right here. Right? This was the COVID sell-off. Massive, massive sell-off. Okay. And what did Bitcoin do? Where am I? Bitcoin was already selling off, but this you can't ignore what it did since then. Obviously, Bitcoin has ramped massively since then. But it went from its high of 10, 11,000. And this is the futures. This isn't totally accurate. It doesn't even have the full history, unfortunately. But it crashed. It had a big crash. So Bitcoin will crash 80%. Okay. And the reason why these candles just don't look that impressive is because of the massive ramp that it's had since then. And that ramp is totally correlated to the money liquidity, global liquidity, M2. Okay? That's what drives Bitcoin. It is in some way, it's not a store of value. It's a speculative asset. It's an amazing asset, okay? But it's largely driven by M2. So if you want to see like relative to where it was then, right? It had where are we at? Yeah, there's a 60% haircut during COVID, okay? So why did that happen? And then, of course, it went on to make new highs. But it happened because it's an easy to liquidate asset. Okay, anything that's liquid when the market's selling off is going to get liquidated in order to cover those. It's a liquidity squeeze, is what it's called. Okay, so that'll happen. The same thing happened in gold during that time period. Gold sold off hard, right here, and then it ramped, right? So gold sold off. Am I still on the weekly? Yeah, I'm still on the weekly. Okay. Can almost barely see it. It's crazy. But it did initially have a sell-off, right? I mean, like it went from, had a quick sell-off, dropped 15%. And then it's continued to go up as well and do its thing, okay? Gold has a lot of price suppression and stuff, but it's still... So the only point that I'm making is not necessarily that... I'm not trying to tell you where they're going to go. I'm just telling you that we're back on the S&P futures. Let me go to the daily again. The point that I'm making is that when this market retests this zone down here, those are going to sell off again. Okay? And when it breaks below this zone, and it now is working through these levels down here, okay, then you're going to see a big hit, okay? And it's going to be very interesting to watch as a percentage-wise, what does gold do? What does Bitcoin do? What does silver do? A lot of people are pumping silver right now. The gold to silver ratio is like record high, 100-to-1 right now, historically. Good time to be, in something like silver. But silver is going to crash hard during this crash, okay? Silver will ramp hard during the recovery. So timing-wise on that, you have to kind of be a little bit smarter than the average knife in the drawer on that one, okay? It's an industrial metal. It's also poor man's gold. But, the global trade system, the global world order is being shaken up right now. And it's massive uncertainty, okay? And that creates just a ton of uncertainty. And that's why the VIX is so high. That's why hedges are so high. They don't like Trump. They don't understand him. They don't know whether to believe what he's saying or to think he's just being, he's a salesman. So they don't like that, right? And it's creating, and if you're talking about these multinational corporations that have their stocks have just gone through the roof year after year after year, they've benefited from, the collusion of, and the way that they've bought off politicians and the laws that are passed and all of the money, the fiscal spending, all that fraud, where's it going, So this is the kind of thing right now that's going on in this market is nobody really knows how to value. Like valuations haven't come down enough. They were way too high. They haven't really come down enough. But the bigger issue is nobody really knows how to value anything under this new system. Okay? It's going to take time to have that figured out. All right? And this is all just if we don't get into a hot war. If we get into a hot war, then we're going to a whole new different level, okay? Hopefully that's avoided. So what you might see with the markets is, if they keep building next week, like I said earlier, they got to retest. I'm trying to get a little better at not showing you stuff that's behind my head. They need to retest this. At this point you have the death cross with the 50 DMA and the 200 DMA crossing over. So that's got to be retested. And so if you're going up, if the market's lifting, you can play that a couple different ways. You can use that as it approaches that 200-day moving average, and you can pay attention to SPY. I watch the futures, but you can do SPY or SPX. A lot of people like SPY. But what you want to pay attention to is when does it retest these levels and when does it and where does it reject? Okay. At that point in time, that's where you're going to want to, if you have if you have stuff on your balance sheet or in your brokerage account that is speculative, that has already gotten hit, but you're like, oh man, I wish I would have sold sooner and I missed that opportunity. Well, if it builds back up, then you would get, that would be your next opportunity, okay? To essentially sell out of, maybe you have gains and you're like, I don't know how long this is going to play out. Maybe you've been nervous about it, whatever. That would be a chance to offload some of those positions that are not ones that you want to hold through this storm. Okay, and if and tech and these positions that have had massive, huge gains over the last few years, those are the kind that are going to get slammed. Okay, they're going to get hit hard during this cycle. Okay, there's a lot to be reset, guys. This is not business as usual. Structurally, what's going on right now looks a lot more like the global financial crisis than it does COVID, but it has some of those elements in it as well. So if you get a rally next week and a push up towards these levels, then that's what your play is. Okay. At the same time, if you hedge, if you are long SPY puts or VIX calls or whatever, if you know how to do that, that's when you would want to be reloading your hedges. Okay. For the next leg down. Okay. If that doesn't happen and we roll over already, you're going to want to pay attention to this level, and you can find that. And so on the SPX on SPY, that level is about going to be about 48, 480. But on an SPX, it's about 48.15. Okay. So we're at about 400. God, it's crazy. The scale on these that I'm looking at here, I'm just kind of tripping out. About, we're at 53, 63, 48. Yeah, about 500 points down from where we're at. It's wild. The size of these bars is just why, VIX is so high. It's just crazy range. Okay. So what I'm saying is that so what I'll tell you about how I see this playing out, I see that we could retest. The market could chop for a little bit, but I believe very strongly we're going to retest, meaning we could retest the 200-day moving average. And I don't expect it to clear it. And if it does, I'm going to be looking for a fake breakout above it with a breakdown. But if it clears the 200-day and then it comes down and retests and then it continues on strong volume, then that would be a good sign. But this is everything right now, guys, is a news cycle. It's all headline driven. Okay. So technicals right now, we're sort of, when you're at VIX levels at these levels, it's very much macro. Okay. Macro is big picture, geopolitical, all the stuff that's in the news. Okay. So when it comes down and retests down here, you'll have to be watching if it, again, great place to buy, right? And our subscribers, we've been keeping them posted on that. When the VIX spikes, and we have some simple but very effective algorithms that we monitor and watch, and a ton of our subscribers loaded up, right, on their automatic paycheck positions, which are simply positions that we set up in a specific way that give you a raise every single month. And we'll pay you to hold them even during a bear market. So, what do you think you're going to be doing? What do you think is going to be more comfortable? Like let's say this bear market goes on for a year. And I think that's a good estimate at this point. And it's just grinding up, down, grind up, down, lower, right? Just chopping you up. And, a lot of young people have never actually been in a market like this. A lot of them. A lot of them weren't around during the dot-com bust in 2000, weren't around during the global financial crisis in 2008. Some of them weren't around. They weren't even in the COVID crash. They were just like got in after the COVID crash. Okay. So, but this is much more structural. The COVID crash was largely self-induced because we shut down our whole economy. There was definitely some unknown and fear involved in it. And then they just goosed the economy with just massive, insane spending, right? So just way too much debt. The United States and every other country in the world has way too much freaking debt. You cannot spend your way to prosperity, guys, right? Talking about this for decades. Okay. You can speculate and you can, ride a trend, but that's not how you build long-term wealth. Okay. So, if you're looking at a year or two, if you're looking at a few years in order to recover, I mean, go back to the dot-com bust. And we've talked about this before. I'll go back to this weekly chart here. Oh, my marks are still here. This was the, here you go. You see that? This was the, let me get this chart to look a little better. This was the dot-com top, and that took 2 years to bottom out. Okay? Topped out in March of it says August. Okay. March. There was the March one. Yeah. So we had we went back up, right? So that was in August of 2000. Didn't really bottom out until 2003. That was the 2.5 years to bottom out. Then you had years and years and years to get back to the exact same level, only for the global financial crisis to hit, and that to take 2 years to bottom out, because that top was in October of 07, and the bottom wasn't until March of 09, so that's a year and a half, right? October 07, yeah, year and a half, okay? Well, guess what? Then you got to climb all the way back up. And so if you were in tech, if you were in all the top tech names, Microsoft, Cisco, on and on and on it goes, okay? You had 9 years, 8 years, and you're like, oh, great, I'm finally at break even. And then another crash. It was 14 years to get back to break even. Okay? So the point that we make with our subscribers and our members all the time, that's called a lost decade. Okay? And they happen. They've happened several times throughout history. But the point that we emphasize with our subscribers is, if you're gonna hold growth assets, which modern portfolio theory and all your experts, that's what they try to get you in. And if you're gonna buy and hold growth assets, and particularly tech, you need to know how to read a chart. Okay, because do you want to hold something that is gonna take 10 years to recover in the next big crash? And if you think that's impossible, it absolutely is not impossible. It's just been a while since that's happened, because since the GFC, this whole market, this whole global system has been surviving off of freaking fake fiat money printing. Okay? So with automatic paychecks with True Wealth Formula, what we do is we just say, look, I want to get paid to hold this thing, and I want to be able to compound it while I'm holding it, while the market is down. And I want to be able to automate that 100%. And if I need to live off of some of this money to pay some bills, I want to be able to make a small change in my account and actually get paid. I don't have to sell the underlying asset when it's at, lows, when it's been cut down, right? I want to keep getting paid. I'm going to keep holding it. It's going to pay me during that time period, right? And I can either compound it and grow and increase my income every single month, every single quarter, every single year, or I can make a little adjustment to how I hold it and actually have it pay my bills. And I don't have to sell the underlying asset. I don't have to burn the whole orchard down in order to eat some fruit. I can pick some fruit off that tree, feed myself and my family, and the orchard's still there. The orchard's still producing year after year after year after year. Okay? So that's one of the things that we do really different in True Wealth Formula. And if you're hearing this for the first time, you can go to truewealthformula.com and you can sign up and you become a subscriber. And if you're an existing subscriber and you've been in the system for a while, you really I would suggest that you upgrade to Pro, because the stuff that we're adding to the site at TWFSystems and the stuff that we're doing with Wealth Builder, everything that we're doing right now is for our Pro members. Okay, we actually have done a lot for our premium subscribers recently. Whole brand new social learning platform at TWFSystems. All kinds of really cool stuff. I got another big update I'm going to be pushing out. I was going to get it done today, but I think it'll be next week. And it's super exciting. And I will be letting you guys know about that in a couple days. It's just going to be awesome. So we got all kinds of cool stuff that we're doing. But these are the markets. This is where we're at. That's what I kind of see playing out. This thing's long from over. If you're in FOMO mode because you missed the buying opportunity of a lifetime, don't get too stressed out about it. We have a very, very good chance at revisiting these levels. And by the way, if they announce tomorrow that all the tariffs were gone, guys, this bear market would not be over. Okay, I just want you to know that there are systemic issues that have to be dealt with, that were front loaded by the last administration. And by the way, this has to happen now. And this is what I mentioned in my March 4th video, and when I laid out the whole premise on everything, is that politically they have to have this train wreck has to happen now. Because right now they can still blame it on Biden, okay? As soon as, if you wait too long, because politically they got the midterms, I'm talking about the Trump admin, okay? So this all had to happen right now. I mean, this was just kind of like, but so politically it's going to be blamed on Biden, and that's 1,000% true. But it's also true that if you think, we'd love to see the government cut. I will see it when I believe it. I am not buying any of the Doge. I think it's all a show right now. I love hearing about the fraud and the abuse and the waste. And I've told those of you that have been around me for a while, for freaking decades, that it is not 10 times, 100 times worse than you even think, than you can imagine what it is. Okay? Every empire throughout history, when it's peaking and on its collapse, the public treasury gets raided and pillaged. By who? The freaking ones that are claiming to protect it. Okay? And this is not new with Biden. This has been going on for decades. And Trump doesn't have a history of cutting government waste, right? He exploded the government, the debt during his first term. Okay, so is something going to be different there? It needs to be, because we can't keep spending the way we've been spending it. All right. The problem is, and I laid this out in March 4th, is you can't just cut government spending really quick, because the economy will collapse. Because the economy is dependent on government spending. They have like 50% of GDP, some crazy number of the GDP is all government spending. If you want to really change the system, they got to remove government spending from the freaking GDP numbers. Then we'll get a real GDP. And the government is not in the business of freaking goosing the economy and faking numbers and doing all this nonsense. Okay. And, that's the GDP that should be tracked. Right. So so they could stop all of the tariff stuff tomorrow, and the markets will rally. But this is not over, guys. Okay. Housing is going to go through a major correction. And I know there's a lot of people that love real estate and everything, and they're like, oh, the rates are going to go down and then housing is going to boom. No, they are stopped. Guess what? One of the major things that was keeping housing, creating part of the housing problem, shortage, costs, prices. Guess what? Millions and millions and millions of freaking illegals coming through that border every single year. Getting free housing, getting handed, the whole thing. That was creating demand pressure in the economy. Okay. All the government spending. BlackRock buying up houses all over the place. There is a massive amount of speculation in the housing market. Okay. So that's going to go through a correction. And it needs to. It's too expensive, right? It's caused too much problems for people. Yes, eventually once they lower rates and this stuff gets flushed out, then it will, come back. But, if you've been in real estate for some time, real corrections that are not intervened by the government, real estate takes years to bottom out. It doesn't just like bounce back. Real estate does not V recovery, guys. Okay. And I'm telling you freaking flat out right now, this is a structural reset. Okay. This is not just a COVID recession that's going on right now. So all I'm saying is this is a good time. You should still be doing, if you're a subscriber, you should still be doing your monthly buys. But if you have cash, or if you can raise cash, there's going to be more opportunities. Okay. There's a lot to this, what's going on right now, Okay, let me see if there's any questions, and if there's some good questions in here, maybe I can get on some other crazy rants. If there's no good questions, just don't get the good rants, guys. So if you want to see me lose my mind, you got to ask some good questions. Okay. All right. Good comments. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. What's up, David Winstead? Nice to see you, buddy. All right. Hi, Amy. What else do you guys want me to talk about, right? Just, put something in there and I'll yak about it. What's up, Jewel, out in San Antonio? Thanks, Diana. Awesome. Brendan Moran, what's going on? Hello in Latvia. Zid. Avija. I'm butchering your name. I'm so sorry. What's up, Tony? Thank you, Brooke. Appreciate it. Yes, Hot War. We did pro and great stuff. Laura Turbo. Yeah, good. Awesome. Glad to hear it. What's up, Josh Johnson? My bros on here. Pretty sickening. Yes. Okay. Who's the guy you mentioned to follow regarding rates? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He used to work with the Soros Fund. He was involved in the famous breaking of the Bank of England. The guy knows currencies. He understands. The guy's a legend. He's a badass. He's probably the most respected person. And I know guys that are traders and professional money managers, and they freaking can't stand Trump because they all have TDS and they're like sucked into the CNBC media nonsense and stuff. But they're good. They understand the markets. And so this is a high risk maneuver that's going on, guys. This is not child's play what's happening right now. Okay. Not in any way, shape, or form. So, it's a very high risk gambit. Okay. But it has to be done. There is no way out of what's going on right now. So anyway, but these guys, they don't like Trump, but they have a crap ton of respect for Scott Bessent because that dude's got a freaking gnarly ass track record. So you need to be paying attention to him when he does, and they've been telegraphing everything. They've said they need to get the treasury down. They need to roll the rates over. They've said what the issues are with regards to China and their trade practices and stuff like that. Again, the CCP, not the people, because the people are wonderful and they have a beautiful culture and good for them, man. They're smart. I mean, even the CCP, But it's at a point now where, the U.S., and it's not just the U.S., guys. They said, look, this can't go on anymore. The Panama Canal, I don't know if you guys heard that news. That's back under U.S. control. Yeah? Because we built the Panama Canal. we had 35,000 Americans die building the Panama Canal. We paid for the build out, paid for the infrastructure, paid for all of it. And there was a treaty that was given away stupidly. But the treaty specifically had some stuff in there. And it's just Trump is the only one that came along and just said, you know what? We're going to renegotiate this deal. We did not sacrifice lives and only to lose the canal, because the canal is critical, not just for global commerce, for military, for all kinds of stuff. Okay? So, while there's stuff going on right now, while all this is going on, there's stuff happening. If we avoid a hot war, it'll be great. I really pray and hope so, So Scott Besant. Yeah, great question, Andrea. You want to pay attention to Scott Besant. Okay, saw yesterday on Twitter that this could be a combo of 1930s and the 2008 bust. What's that make you think of? I'm sure partially fear marketing. Yeah, tons of fear. But no, it's a high risk gambit. I mean, this is, and they've been pretty clear. They say, look, we've got to go through some pain first to get to the other side. And they're trying to focus on the positive and everything like that. I just think that, it's just, you guys have to be mentally hardened to be able to, for this to drag out for a while, okay? You should, all the same kind of stuff that we talked about during COVID, cut the overheads, cut the nonsense, raise tier 1 capital. If you're a subscriber, then you want to be doing your buys every month. Don't stop that, because this thing's going to waterfall down, and it's going to do this chop thing and everything. And, if you sit there and you go, well, I'm just going to wait for that one moment. This low on Monday, like when the Monday thing happened, when we tapped this low here, can't see it again because I put this volume stuff back in. When this happened, guys, it was gone. So if you think that, oh no, I'm just gonna wait, you're gonna miss it. Okay, and also you're gonna be scared crapless when it's going on because of the news headlines and all this stuff. You're gonna be too scared. So just like what we do with all of our subscribers, you want to make it systematic. You want to make your wealth building system systematic. You want to automate it. You want to have a system. You want to just be mechanical about it. Yes, you can be opportunistic as well, and you can raise cash and you can look for that for those moments, and you can hold some cash back for these bigger dips, these bigger sell-off opportunities. But you have to have already developed a habit ahead of time of taking action when it's scary, when the VIX is spiking off the charts, when you wake up and it's freaking red and your whole portfolio and everything's down underwater. Do you buy habitually when that's going on? Because I'll tell you, if you don't do it on the small dips and on the small VIX spikes, if you think if you think all of a sudden you're going to come along and one day and you're going to be the one to oh, if only I could go back to COVID. In hindsight, if I could go back to this COVID crash and I would have just bought the bottom, or only if I could go back to, all of these the 2018, Fed blunder that caused this big sell-off and, or the global financial crisis. God, what I wouldn't do. I would just do anything to go back in time and do that. If you've ever told yourself that, you are totally full of you are FOS, okay? You are full of crapola, right? You're basically, you're lying to yourself if you think you would do that, because you will be terrified when it happens unless you have already developed the skill and the mechanics of what to do and when to do it. And you have already been developing that so that when that hits the fan like that, you don't seize up in fear. First of all, you have to know what to monitor and pay attention to. Secondly, you have to know what you want to buy. Thirdly, you got to have your cash ready, your accounts ready. You have to have your system set up. Fourthly, you have to know how to freaking get the order done, navigate the bid-ask spread. Yeah, you gotta already this got to already be in it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna wait for it to happen. No, you're not gonna do it. You're gonna miss it. You're going to wake up and then you're going to wait until the fear is gone, until everything is stable again, and then you're going to be like, well, I missed it again. Okay? So these are the kind of things we work on with our subscribers and our clients at TrueWealthFormula.com, and particularly with our pro members. We talk about it all the time. We have a private group chat. Every day I'm in there. We're talking about, stuff that's on our buy list and what's going on and different strategies and all kinds of stuff. Okay. So, but you should be excited about this right now, because I believe, I could be wrong. There's no guarantees. Anything could happen here. But structurally, we got issues, okay? And when I say we, it's you too, because Western society, like this is a global system, okay? This is why the risk is so high. This is why the VIX is at, even on today's up day, VIX is still super elevated, okay? It's a lot of stress in the markets right now, okay? So there's never been a better time to be a subscriber. There's never been a better time to be a pro member. We don't charge nearly enough for what we do. You can still sign up as a premium member for $299 a year. And the pro membership, you can get into it for $999 per year or $99 a month. You can upgrade. There's an upgrade option now at the checkout at TrueWealthFormula.com. You opt in, and then on the next page, you sign up. You hit the button to sign up, TrueWealthFormula.com. And then when you sign up for premium, you have the option to upgrade to pro. And you say, well, maybe I shouldn't do that right away. Well, yeah, actually you should. Because right now, more than any time ever, you need to be on it. You need a community of people that are playing this game, that are winning this game, and know how to win it very differently than everything else you're going to see out there. And some of it, a big part of it, goes back to what I was just talking about just a moment ago. You need to have your systems down so that when the stuff is really hitting the fan, you don't go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Or you're just too distracted. Life is crazy, man. You're managing your business, you're managing other stuff in life, and you don't even know. It just happens, and you don't even know it happened, and you just missed a lifetime opportunity, okay? What we do is we systemize it. Again, we take advantage of those opportunities, but nobody knows the future. Nobody knows. Anything could happen, I mean, if I go back and watch the videos that I've done for the last month and a half with you guys every Friday here and listen to myself, I'd probably be pretty freaked out about how ridiculous it's done exactly what I've said. I hate making predictions because there's no easier way to be a fool than to make predictions. If you're really a good marketer, then you'll just sell. You just keep selling the next thing. That's not how we build our business. We don't do advertising. We rely totally on referral at TrueWealthFormula.com. We don't pump out ads and huge, massive marketing funnels and hype you all the time with upsells and hype you all the time with, you got, this and that. We have basically one upsell. We have our premium membership, which gives you access to the whole implementation program training, gives you access to Wealth Builder software that runs all your analytics for you, does predictive analytics, helps show you how to restructure your balance sheet for cash flow, shows you how to get all your debt eliminated in record time, shows you how to create a compound wealth building machine, right? The software does all that, right? Our educational program will teach you all about this stuff, right? The community, the people we have, our community is amazing. And if you're a pro member, every month you'll be on a call with me. We'll be going through stuff like this, other strategies, doing live Q&As, all kinds of stuff. But we're also talking every day in our private chat on our site, TWFSystems.com. So, this is all about mastering money and living free. And this game is not as easy. It's not that easy. And there's just a lot of landmines out there, guys. There's a lot of people that are just marketers. I did that once upon a time. I don't like it anymore. So try to just do what's right with our subscribers. Try to put out massive amounts of value. If you're a pro member, you get access to our VIP support and coaching line. If you want to have our coaching team and our support team, headed up right now by Karen. If you want help on something, or you want a quick start onboarding, or you want a refresher on the software and your numbers, you want somebody to go through your numbers with you and make sure your numbers are looking right, all kinds of stuff. Book a Zoom call. It's included with pro members. We were doing it for premium members for a long time. It was like, oh my God, we are doing too much. We're going to go bankrupt because we have costs. If you guys had any idea what I've put into just the Wealth Builder software alone, it's just insane. Just absolutely insane. Just because there's nothing out there that will run you freaking numbers like what we have. Nothing. It doesn't exist. So we built it. So, but, and even then for just what we are doing right now with the Pro, it's insane. So let me see if there's any other questions here, and then we'll close this up. Now's the time, guys. Ask questions. Anything you guys want to see something else on the chart? You want to know something else? Yeah, he's definitely in the news. Asked a question, but not sure if it came into Facebook. Facebook, great. Might be no question, but who is the U.S. in debt to itself, another country, Rome, like who? Yeah, great question, Patience. So the U.S. Treasury system, I've mentioned this numerous times, but the United States capital markets are the widest and deepest markets on the planet, but by a factor that is insane, okay? You have equities, which are stocks. You have bonds. You have treasuries, which is the T-bills and the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year. The 10-year is really the primary one, right? And in that scenario there, they got a bunch of debt. They, as in the United States Treasury, they really got to get this down well below 4. Okay, and it was just there, like it was, and people are freaking out about the how much it's spiking. Oh my God, it's at 4.45. Well, it was at freaking 4.8. Which is a huge move for treasuries, right? Just like at the beginning of the year, like a couple of months ago, it was freaking at. It was at 4.9, it was at 5 right here just in November, so of the end of 03. So anyway, they got to get those rates pushed down so they could do this big refi because Janet Yellen is an idiot and she front loaded all this, she did short duration refi while she was the Treasury Secretary and on and on and on. But yeah, who are we in debt to? So the way this gets pretty complex, but if you're the world reserve currency holder, the dominant one, which the US dollar is, and this is where there's a conflict with trying to do tariffs. And for those of you that follow me on X, I've posted all kinds of stuff on this. But when you have the dominant reserve currency, you're usually not a net exporter. You're a net importer, which is what we've been. Very much so, particularly since 1971 when we went off the gold standard and essentially, all this globalism stuff started and, on and on and on. The net exporter country like China, who is selling you goods, they can't necessarily do a lot with all that capital, okay? They have to put it somewhere. And because the U.S. system is the widest and deepest financial markets on the planet, and particularly the treasury market, that's what they do, is they hold it in treasuries, right? It's guaranteed, provides a return, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of this has to do with, when we say we're in debt, a lot of it... There's sort of a funny little nuance to it. Is like, well, if you have the world reserve currency, now this is why this has to happen now, because our debt is getting too high. 37 trillion, too freaking high, nuts, insane, on a freaking train wreck path. And you have these absolute morons in government, these idiots. Congress, by the way, they're freaking 90% of them are freaking outright traitors. We need a traitor test for Congress every year. And it needs to be a test that they have to pass. And I'm freaking deadly serious about that, okay? So these dumb MFers, I mean, guys, since 2019, just 5 years ago, there was 1 million employees in the federal government. It's 3 million now. And they're crying about it. They're saying we need to, like some people are saying, we need to at least roll it back to 2019. Are you kidding me? It was still too big. And they're freaking out like that can never happen. What do you mean that can never happen? That was 5 years ago. What the hell has improved, right? And just look at the, I don't have the actual debt graphs, okay? And I can pull it up real quick. What value have you gained in the last 5 years by the government doubling? Because it was like, Trump blew up the deficit as well, okay? But it's Congress. Congress is the problem here, like massively. They are bought and owned by these multinational globalist corporations. They don't work for you. They don't work for me. Okay? Because why? Government spending is part of GDP. So, and you have these idiots that think that the government can just solve every problem. The problem is everything government touches turns to shit. Everything. You want your entire world to look like the DMV or the post office, and I'm not criticizing, there's good people in government that work hard and all that. But you know what happens in government most of the time is the good people that want to make change, that want to do the right thing, that want to be efficient, that want to work hard, they just get penalized for that because the system is not designed for efficiency. Once they get AI put in and everything, then it'll be a very different system. That's a big part of what's going on right now. That's why Doge is there. The savings, we're finding all this fraud and all this. This is just a ruse. That's just a ruse. That's just a MAGA freaking jerk off. Okay. The whole thing about we got to bring manufacturing back to bring back jobs and all this manufacturing. Yeah, but that's also a MAGA jerk off because there's not going to be AI and robotics there are going to be some jobs created, but it's going to decimate way more jobs than it's going to create. So there's a lot going on right now, guys. And, I talk about this with our pro subscribers all the time. And, if you guys aren't paying attention to what's going on right now, this world is not going to look anything like what you think it looks like by 2030. It's going to look completely freaking different than it does right now. This is not the time to not be paying attention and have your head in the sand. So yeah, they don't even want to roll it back to 2019. Why? Because the economy will collapse. That's why. They stupid engineered it wrong. Because why? They've been freaking hands in the cookie jar. It's not you, it's not me. It's the system, right? So that's the system we're in. Every throughout history, there's always a system. It's just out of balance. It's not going to be good. If you destroy it, the whole fucking world burns with it. You don't want to destroy it. You just got to get it back into balance. And hopefully that's what's going on right now. Hopefully this renegotiation brings it back into balance. You can't get rid of the elites. You can't get rid of fraud. You can't get rid of abuse. You can't get rid of idiots being in government and doing their dumb... dude, the kind of stuff that even happens at the state and local city, town council level is insane. The amount of fraud, the amount of backdoor deals and contract deals and kickbacks and nonsense that goes on in just local freaking government planning. So it's pretty crazy. It's crazy stuff. So they got to get a handle on it, and they got to figure they got a gnarly needle to thread in a very short window because Congress is going to be pushing back on this. You got judges, you got a lot of hate out there for Trump and the whole, this is globalism. This is a fight. By the way, these globalists are the ones that have given you all this nonsensical, consumerism garbage while you can't afford housing. You can't freaking afford a vehicle because you go to get a maintenance. They break all the time. Right? Your dishwasher, your brand new fancy dishwasher freaking breaks. Your ice maker breaks. All your everything freaking breaks. All this fancy new high-tech garbage that you have to pay all this money for freaking breaks all the time. Trust me, I know. I have that nonsense in my beautiful home. Give me anything for 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, even 1980s appliances. Absolutely. If you have old appliances, do not freaking replace it with a new one. It's trash. Okay? It's all overpriced. I take my Ford Raptor in to get a repair. It costs $1,000 for some minor thing. I asked the lady that runs the place, why is everything so crazy? You know, well, number one, there's no mechanics anymore. The average age is like 55 or some crazy thing. There's no young men that are being mechanics. Why? Because they're all in stupid video games in their parents' base room or some nonsense like that, or being an influencer or whatever. Okay. And she said the other thing is our cost, she goes, our licensing fees for the software, the diagnostic software for all this high tech in the vehicles, our costs for that are massive. I'm like, great. So the shit that breaks in my truck all the time, which is all this electronics and all this fancy nonsense, is also the reason why I got to pay so much all the time, because the freaking mechanic shops are paying major crazy license fees for it. It's garbage. It sucks. And I posted this on Twitter recently. I said, you know what? Because you got all these yahoos talking about, oh, inflation and these tariffs are going to be so bad, and the price of Nikes and sneakers is going to be so bad. And I was like, you know what? Most Americans don't need another freaking pair of Nikes in their freaking closet. They need a freaking affordable housing. They need to have a freaking vehicle that they can fix themselves in their driveway without costing thousands of dollars in some stupid diagnostic software. They need the basics, man. They need freaking appliances that don't cost $2,000 for a dishwasher or $1,000, some nonsense. I mean, I could just go on and on, guys. So this system, it sucks. I don't mind this. I want tech here. Give me my tech here. Don't freaking put it in my truck. I want a freaking truck that just fucking drives. Right? I want a dishwasher that just washes dishes. I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to afford a house. You understand where I'm coming from? I'm sorry I cuss on these things, but sometimes it just, you know? So this is the system. It's been broken for a long time. Okay? A lot of people have been hurting for a really long time. Getting squeezed for a really long time. People aren't having kids anymore. Why? Can't afford it. Now, there's a whole bunch of them that just they're spending thousands of dollars on dogs. They're spending hundreds of dollars a month on freaking $8 lattes. But structurally, the system has been broken for a really long, and you're being castrated and chemically neutered from all the crap they're selling and putting in the foods and in the air and in the water and everything. Why? Money. So that's where we're at. But there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of freaking work to be done, you know, and hopefully they are successful. Hopefully they can figure out a deal with China and get China to play by the CCP to play by the same rules that others are playing by. This is why Trump pulled out of the WHO, complete scam, nonsensical organization, fake scientists that pushed a fake vaccine on a virus that was paid for by the freaking. I'm just going off at this point, right? Oh, China had the Wuhan virus. Well, guess who paid for the virus and the development and the labs in China? It wasn't China. It was these globalists, right? Fauci and these freaking Bill Gates and these freaking people who are still walking around there, but everything's fine apparently. So there's a lot of rhetoric, and you just gotta, you gotta be behind these policies and do it, but you gotta know there's gonna be pain, and you gotta watch out for the rhetoric, and it's on both sides. There's Trump derangement syndrome retards, and there's also a bunch of MAGA retards out there that don't have critical thinking and think, I mentioned the whole jobs, like British manufacturing is going to create jobs. Yeah, it'll create some jobs. Guys, these factories are going to be filled with robotics. Okay? So, great job opportunities for mechanics, right? Be good for the young men. Learn mechanics again, learn construction. Get out there, guys. Stop freaking playing video games all day long. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Ah, you guys are good sports. Put up with me and my rants here, my bad language too. Um, Belinda, are the people on TV that are experts on trading just not understand the market, or are they feeding people a bunch? No, I mean they understand markets. They absolutely do. But our whole global system is based off of Keynesian economics, and Keynesian economics is based off of this consumption and global debt-based economy, and just keep printing more and more money, basically. So they're all bought and sold and all in on that. And you know, Milton Friedman, and there's some other economists that have long been more like, different ways. So yeah, this has been a good game for them. And that's the other thing, is they've all benefited from this game. If you're an elite, if you're a financial person, you've benefited from the current system. If you're a blue collar worker and you're Main Street, you haven't. I mean, even people's 401ks haven't gone up at the same. Look at the fees and all this stuff that gets pulled out of your 401ks. You go, well, the market was up 15, 20%. Why is my 401k only up 5%? Yeah, good question. So it's just the whole system has been engineered to profit off of you. And these people don't, they don't want to lose that. So, but no, the tariffs have some positives and some negatives. They understand the markets, but it's more about the markets as they have been. And this is very complex stuff. When you get into currency, you get into treasuries, you get into currency manipulation, you get into all of the interchanging dynamics that go on, and all of this stuff. It's very complicated. It's not that easy to understand. And I think in some cases, some of these experts are such experts, and they understand such minutia and the micro details of things. But that's good, that's fine. But they get very embedded into a certain narrative, right? And that narrative is one thing: tariffs are going to be inflationary. No, for some things, yes. For other things, no. Okay. In fact, they can be very deflationary. Other stuff. So you combine that with Trump derangement syndrome and all the lies and all the stuff that media has pushed for years now. And it's just, I hate Trump and whatever he says, and he's an idiot. That's the other thing. You have these people that just think he's an idiot. And it's like, you gotta be like Trump. One thing Trump does is he thrives when other people underestimate him. And, and he's a salesman. He's the world's greatest showman, and he will always spin it and he will always pump it. And I have some criticisms. I hate the way him and his family pump these crypto schemes and, some of the other nonsense. It was probably, his little message on Wednesday. Now is a good time to buy. I mean, it's not the first time he said that. He said that before. He said all kinds of stuff, so it's a little bit, I have some criticisms. I absolutely do. But I'm not going to, I'm not in a second going to say these people, these experts that think he's an idiot, it's like, are you kidding me? You think Elon's an idiot? Like the guy that figured out how to catch rockets out of midair? Yeah, no. So you just have a lot of people that are just embedded in this current system, and they've profited a lot from it, and they're scared, and they are disconnected and severely out of touch with reality and Main Street America, Main Street Canadians, Main Street European, like every average day workers. They're just totally out of touch, man. They're just freaking idiots, And they're also stupid for pushing this far, pushing this system this far, and thinking that they could keep going. Like, really stupid. And it's partly a problem with modern capitalism that has this ideology that it requires constant growth. That's the way the capital markets work. So if you have a system that requires constant growth and can never not grow, well, nothing grows forever. And it's actually healthy. But these multinational corporations bought off the governments, paid everybody out in order to hedge themselves. You know, when the original corporate charters were only 20 years. After 20 years, you had to prove that it was still to the public benefit. They had to expire, liquidate assets, be done, you know, or get the charter reinstated. And the Rockefellers changed those laws. They lobbied. Rockefellers also are the ones that, and the Ford Foundation, responsible for the freaking Department of Education. You know, the whole school system we have now. I mean, in China, guys, in kindergarten, in China, in kindergarten, the kids have to learn how to use AI. We have high schoolers that can't freaking read or write or do math. High schoolers. Not a small amount, a massive amount. A freaking massive amount. You are probably like, oh, I really don't know anything about this AI thing. Oh, it sounds kind of stupid. Or, wow, that sounds neat. I wish I had the time to learn it. And I've been telling you, if you're a subscriber of ours, you better freaking learn how to use it. Because there's only two types of people in the next 5 years. And probably by next year. Those who know how to use it and those who don't. That's it. If you're not using AI, Grok, start with Grok. And there's a ton of different agents out there and systems that specialize in different things. Start with Grok. Make sure you have an account on X. If you're not learning to use AI, you are going to be one of the people that do not know what hit them. Why do you think they hit that? Anyway, I'm ranting too much. Okay. Sorry. On and on and on. Okay. That was a good question, Belinda. Okay. Andrea, yeah, TQQ and BTC match anymore? No, it is. There's been a little divergence, but you know, because the Nasdaq sold off. But yeah, no, they've never matched perfectly, but the pattern, I mean, the flow is absolutely there. This is why I'm telling you guys, like, if the market keeps selling off, Bitcoin's going to sell off. And then once liquidity is injected back into the market by the Federal Reserve and the central banks, then freaking Bitcoin will pump again. Just like the Nasdaq. The tech is liquidity. Liquidity is like being pulled out of the system right now. This is why you got some people like saying the Federal Reserve's got to get involved. Like they're already panicking and freaking out and, you know, all this stuff. So yeah, no, Bitcoin's still gonna follow. It could break away. I mean, it could diverge. It'll have divergences sometimes, but it's still a liquidity-based asset, global liquidity. You know, which doesn't really, it does and it doesn't line up with their, you know, with the thesis of it. But, okay. Yeah, DMV and post office. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I know I say a lot of offensive stuff. I am an equal opportunity offender. So, do you want the world to look like the DMV? Yeah, exactly. Okay. If you think government running everything is a good idea, then you must love spending time at the freaking DMV. Yeah. Do you think UBI is the future? I was going to say this, and you just basically, yeah, that's what I was about to say a bit ago. Yeah, this is why UBI has been brought up. And if you're talking about the restructuring of the global system here, and you're talking about reshoring manufacturing, you're talking about robotics and AI being in those factories, and a lot of this is supply chain. I've mentioned this in the prior lives that I've done. You know, a lot of what's going on right now is national security interest. There's a lot going on, but yeah, they're going to have some type of a UBI. Now, if they can re-engineer the school system and get, you know, because guys, for freaking decades, they've been teaching kids nonsensical nonsense. You know, I mean, kids should learn all your basics by 6th grade and by 8th grade, you know, and once you're in high school, you should either be learning a trade or you should be learning but at that point it should be kind of known like which direction you lean in. And you shouldn't be in freaking college unless you're getting a professional degree. And these stupid ass colleges shouldn't be doing all the communist Marxist nonsense that they do. They should be teaching kids how to freaking produce, not putting them hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for some stupid degree in freaking gender studies or whatever nonsensical insanity, right? So yeah, kids shouldn't be going to college when you can learn everything you need to. You learn a crap ton on freaking YouTube. Sign up for True Wealth Formula. Learn what you need to learn about finance. Learn the trades. So kids should be learning in high school. They should be learning the trades. If you are leaning in the direction of a professional career, then if you're so there's two worlds in the future. Right now, AI is going to decimate white collar jobs. And it is already. It's absolutely decimating white collar jobs. Robotics is the next thing. Right now, blue collar is safe for a while. Robotics is going to eventually decimate blue collar. So the future looks like if you're leaning into a professional, even doctors, attorneys, dude, you get better answers with AI now. AI is better now at diagnosing your blood panel work. It's better at diagnosing disease. It gives better answers for legal. Depending on the situation. So white collar professions are going to just get absolutely decimated. But no, kids, our school system needs to be completely re-engineered. Completely freaking re-engineered. And by high school at the absolute latest, but in the early grades, the kids should be learning how to use AI. And certainly by like 6th grade, there should already have been an identification of what the kid's aptitude is. Instead of putting everybody into this cookie cutter nonsensical system that we've had for decades. And if you lean more towards, practical skill sets and, using your hands and mechanics or building things or whatever, awesome. You need to be learning mechanics and you need to be learning a trade and you need to be learning how to maintain robotics. Okay, you can get involved in engineering. You can do a combination of both. In that realm, absolutely, we need it. And if you are leaning in more of a professional career, is going to be AI. You still need to be trained in your, in the foundations of your profession, but you need to freaking know AI. I mean, that's it. It's robotics or AI. It's what the kids need. We are screwed if we don't get this figured out here real quick, guys. Real freaking quick. And if you guys are homeschooling, I'm giving you the heads up. Like you can be doing this right now with your homeschooling and filtering out all the nonsense. And yes, there's other things that are important too, but it basically comes down to that. Okay, so yeah, UBI is a real thing. That's gonna happen. I'm way behind. Okay. All right. Okay, you guys are laughing at some of my craziness here. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. You guys are cool with me. I've gone too late already, so I'm just gonna go through these real quick. Yep. 1984 Camaro. What a score. Nice. Yeah, exactly. People getting pardons and walking free while freaking parents were locked up or were put on FBI watch lists because of protesting school board meetings, right? Yeah, exactly. What will be out there for women? I don't really understand that question, Tammy. Love the big picture rants. Okay, cool. Yeah, where are the Epstein, Diddy, and 9/11 files? We're never gonna see it, brother. It ain't happening. They're gonna scrub them, wash them, whatever. It might eventually. Never say never, but JFK came out. JFK files came out. Nothing's happened. No, nobody's account. I mean, JFK files came out. Some of it was still not there. There was a ton of them, about a third of them not released, by the way. And unequivocally, it was the CIA and Israel Mossad. No questions. Murdered a duly elected United States president, John F. Kennedy. I mean, nobody cares. It's all just freaking theater, man. Yes, Ford fan. Yep. You're right about that, Larissa. Okay. Do you have recommendations and tutorials online? Yeah, we'll talk about that in an MGC in the future here, Brendan. Good question regarding Grok and using AI. Pulled the kids from homeschooling and giving my 10-year-old broken four-wheeler, telling them to go at it. Yeah. Nice. Yep. YouTube University. Do you think there will be a tax breaks for companies that don't use AI or robotics? Tax breaks for companies that don't use it? I don't know about that. I don't know. Not sure about that. Okay. Okay, awesome, guys. Great. TrueWealthFormula.com, TrueWealthFormula.com, TrueWealthFormula.com. Hans Johnson here, signing off. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I might do another one next Friday. I don't know. I usually do like one of these a month, and I've been doing them every week. And, hope you guys spread the word and, pick up some books, give them out as gifts. Make sure you're an active subscriber at TrueWealthFormula.com. If you're a premium member, upgrade to pro. Get involved, stay involved, pay attention, stop sleeping, stop being in fear, follow the system, work the system, do the system, and be patient, hunker down, be mentally strong. This is going to take a while. We're going to get through this. And, hopefully we'll have a better world, more equitable, like that word, world on the other side of this, right? That's what's needed. Real equity, not this nonsensical garbage. Why do you think they were pitching that for the last 10 years, guys? Because inequality has been a massive issue for a long time. So what they did was create this fake garbage to sell you on and divide and conquer the people against each other with DEI programs and call that inequality. That's not the freaking, dude, inequality has been created by globalism and technology. You're not going to stop technology. You got to fix the globalism part. That's what's created inequality. And if you have other issues like racism or whatever, then address it individually. Deal with the individual companies or the individual people who are in power that screwed up and did something stupid like that. Don't put a blanket on the rest of society like that. Come on, give me a break. So yeah, hopefully when this is over, we're in a nice place. But meanwhile, you gotta just follow the system. Follow the system. TrueWealthFormula.com. All right, guys. Thanks everybody. God bless.